Researchers say that it's not fair that landlords are charging pet deposits and pet rent because it unfairly impacts low income tenants. And they say that landlords don't actually need the money. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting topic for you today, and it's going over pet rents and pet security deposits. Now, obviously, a lot of landlords do accept pets within their rental units, and when they do, they realize that, hey, there's going to be damage. There's going to be, extra wear and tear over what, just people by themselves have in the units, right? But there's researchers, and they're saying, no, that's not the case. There's not actually more damage caused by these pets. Well, I beg to differ. And you know what? I can bet money that these researchers have never owned a rental property, never had a tenant with a pet in their rental property, and don't know what they're talking about, okay? They're probably biased because they say, hey, well, I'm a good tenant. I would never, tear up somebody else's property. Well, listen, man, all I can say is I've had a rental property where a cat has literally sprayed the walls to the point where I've had to rip the drywall out, okay? And I've had to paint everything over with kills trying to get that smell out of the place. So don't give me any of that garbage about not needing a pet security deposit or not needing extra monthly fee for the pets, because there is extra wear and tear beyond what a normal person would do to the property. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? If you're a landlord, do you believe that a pet security deposit or paying extra pet rent is necessary? And if not, explain your reasoning why. I mean, obviously not everybody's going to agree with me. I know there are some landlords who don't even accept pets because of the wear and tear that are done to a property. I personally, I charge a pet security deposit, extra security deposit for any damages that the pet might cause. So it doesn't always cover all of the damages, but keeping that in mind, it does kind of weed out those bad players, those bad actors, okay? Anyway, this article is coming from valleycentral.com, and it says, pet fees hit Texas renters unequally, but landlord group says they're necessary. Yeah, the people who actually deal with the properties are going to have a much different opinion than the people who are living on, in fantasy land, these tenant advocates. So let's get into the article and see what it says. Many pet owners have likely paid an extra deposit or rent for their non-human companions, but that extra expense can act as a barrier to pet ownership for some. Troubling research suggests that additional pet fees in Austin disproportionately target lower income and non-white communities. A study titled Pet Friendly for Whom? An Analysis of Pet Fees in Texas Rental Housing, published in Frontiers in Veterinary Science in November 2021, examined rental properties in several Texas cities to understand the extent to which renting with pets may create an additional cost burden for renters. The researchers specifically looked at apartments that described themselves as pet-friendly. The study hoped to build on similar research that looked at cities in North Carolina, which found that pet-friendly rentals are more readily available in communities with predominantly white residents than ones with predominantly people of color. Well, I don't like the racial kind of twist they're trying to go in here. Oh, well, they're purposefully not renting. No, okay? This really goes into basically people who are lower income have lower rates of pet ownership. Okay, that is just a fact, okay? I mean, you can look it up. I'm not going to throw the stats out there right now, but it is a fact, okay? People who are lower income have lower levels of pet ownership. That's why less rental properties have the ability to have a pet in that property in lower income areas, because it's just not necessary. Now, also keep in mind that lower income areas, the tenants in those areas are rougher on properties than in higher income areas. So, that's why you see so many, more precautions taken against damage, etc. And I don't blame the landlords who are operating in these areas for that very reason. That's part of the reason I charge a pet deposit, okay? What researchers found for Texas City is that higher cost pet friendly units are less likely to have pet fees. These units are more likely to be in high income and predominantly white communities, while the heaviest pet fees land on low income and predominantly Latinx communities. You know, I hate that word, okay? Predominantly Hispanic communities. That's what I would say. I don't even know what Latinx means. Austin, in many ways, exemplifies some of the key issues that are highlighted. We know how big of an issue gentrification is in our city. We know how many racial divisions there are in our city. We know how overwhelmingly white parts of our city are, said Kevin Horeca, one of the study's researchers. This is yet another example of a societal issue that relates to all of those things. Well, here is the first thing that I would suggest, right? If you cannot afford a pet, don't get a pet, okay? We all know, all of us who are pet owners know that there are additional costs related to owning a pet, okay? Now, if you're a renter and you own a pet, that means you're going to be more limited on the number of apartments that you have available for rent because a lot of landlords don't want to rent to, pet owners, okay? You're also going to have to pay additional fees, be that a security deposit or additional pet rent. All pet owners know this, okay? And, of course, there's the cost of, feeding and making sure they stay healthy and licensing them, etc., right? It is just known that, hey, if you are lower income, maybe you shouldn't own a pet at all, okay? They're saying, oh, well, they're hurting these lower income people and not letting them. No, they're not hurting the people, right? The lower income people have to make a decision of, hey, are we going to pay to make sure that we are able to stay in our apartment, or are we worried about this dog or cat? And most of them are saying, hey, we need to make sure that we can take care of ourselves first, okay? That's why there's so much lower pet ownership the lower the income is, okay? So it has nothing to do with race, and I just really don't like that tone of this article. So let's keep going. People who want pets find ways to get them, but they're paying these unfair and unfortunate costs to do so, Horeca said. We would probably see benefits in terms of pet ownership, in particular special populations of animals that are much harder to adopt out, such as one with medical conditions, or larger or particular breeds. Specifically, the study recommends against landlords using the Texas Apartment Association's animal addendum template or charging an additional pet security deposit. According to the study, the addendum allows landlords to enter a unit and remove a pet from the property after a single complaint or violation. That sounds like a good thing to me, okay? So, yeah, as long as it follows the law in Texas and the landlord is able to do that, then I don't see any problem with it. What I do have a problem with is that this, I guess this is an animal rights activist or whatever, making the suggestion that, it would be better if the landlords didn't, give a crap about their own investment and the thousands of dollars that they have to spend and just allowed people to have pets. Hey, you're in fantasy world, okay? We're the property owners, not you. If you want to go and buy an apartment building and then, allow everybody in there, not charge any additional fees, well, you go ahead and do that and watch how quick it gets torn up, okay? Watch as you have dog crap piled all over your place, okay? And you're paying to get it picked up and you don't have any additional income coming in to help cover that cost. See, this is the problem, right? People who have no clue how these businesses operate, they sit here and they want to, dictate to people how they should operate them. That's idiocy. But anyway, let's get down because the Texas Apartment Association actually commented on this article, and I like what they say. What's the purpose of pet fees? David Mintz, the TAA's Vice President of Government Affairs, disagrees with these recommendations. He said the TAA's addendum allows for property owners to access a unit to help abandoned or neglected animals, as well as remove pets that are unruly or dangerous. Mintz is in favor of using pet deposits and fees, but notes the TAA cannot legally provide landlords with guidance on setting those fees. A lot of apartments are pet friendly, but along with that comes some additional costs as well. Pet deposits are there to cover the potential for damage that a pet may cause within a rental unit beyond normal wear and tear, Mintz said. The reality is that having a pet comes with some responsibilities. When you're renting your home, it's important you're taking care of that property. Yeah, and I can give you a prime example of that, okay? And this is, you know, with one of the houses that I own, right, has hardwood floors in it. So the tenant that I have in this house actually has a large dog. And guess what? Large dog has large nails that have actually scratched the hardwood floor. So you can't tell me that that kind of scratch would have been caused whether, you know, I mean, if there was not a dog in there, because it wouldn't have, okay? So having that extra pet security deposit so that I can get those floors refinished when that tenant moves out, it's absolutely necessary, okay? Mint says deposits, extra rent, and one-time fees for pets often cover property and grounds upkeep, paperwork, and other administrative costs, as well as amenities like dog parks and pet washing stations. There's a real cost for having a groundskeeper go around the property to pick up after pets or when there's landscaping damage, Mint said. I think that properties try to be as welcoming as they can, but they have to balance those added costs or the potential for damage with trying to keep costs reasonable for all the renters as well. However, the 2021 study's researchers say previous research doesn't support that claim. And now we're going to get into the part that, you know, I was alluding to earlier. Basically, researchers are saying, oh, well, the landlords don't know what they're talking about just because they're the ones who have to spend the money and they operate this business and they deal with hundreds or thousands of tenants at a time. No, they don't know what they're talking about. See, once again, you know, the researchers who are involved in these projects, they have no practical experience, okay? But let me read what it says here. Past research has found that in the rare instances in which pet-related damages do occur, security deposits are more than sufficient in most instances. Furthermore, there is no evidence that landlords charging for pet ownership are using this extra income to pay for any additional cost of maintaining rental properties that allow pets, the researchers said in the study's conclusions. Yeah, so they're absolutely wrong. They're dead wrong. And you know what? The funny thing is they don't cite the source of this research at all. They don't, you know, put down an author. They don't put down any information. They just say researchers say, you know. I mean, that could be anybody. That could be some guy who, you know, a tenant living down the street who owns a dog. He's a researcher now, according to the people who wrote this article. It's garbage, okay? It's absolute garbage. They need to talk to the landlords. The property owners are the only ones who know the damages that pets can cause because they've dealt with it over and over again. I've dealt with it, okay? I have several tenants who have pets. I don't have a problem with pets. I just want to make sure that the damage that is caused by the tenants is taken care of, okay? And most of my tenants are doing just fine with those pets, and I don't have any issues. And if the pet doesn't do any additional damage, I will return the security deposit. That's what I do, okay? So, yeah, this article is garbage. The research that they're citing is garbage. And I certainly hope that nobody, you know, thinks that it's a bad idea for landlords to charge pet rent and pet security deposits.